a actor, an actor, a hour, an hour, lequel choisir? Est-ce que vous avez l'impression que les articles a et an en anglais devraient être simples, mais vous vous y perdez quand même? Ne vous inquiétez pas, je vais tout clarifier pour vous aujourd'hui. Alors, activez les sous-titres si besoin, parce que oui, ici, on parle anglais, et let's start. So, what are a et an in English? These are two ways to form the indefinite article, and their equivalents in French would be un and une. However, in French, we choose between these two articles depending on the gender of the noun. But I'm sure many of you already know that in English, nouns do not have a gender. So, in that case, why do we have two articles? The articles a and an exist to make pronouncing the article more comfortable. Now, we can actually compare this to French, and I'll give you an example. In French, we would say un chat, but we would say un arbre. Can you hear the difference between the way we say un chat but un arbre? We do this because the sound following is a vowel sound, an open a for arbre. In English, we do exactly the same thing, but we also change the spelling of the article to reflect this pronunciation change. Before we go any further, a quick reminder about vowels and consonants. Vowel sounds are open sounds where air flows freely out of the mouth, and we usually consider them to be the letters A, E, I, O, and U. Consonant sounds are produced in the mouth by stopping the flow of air. They are sounds like t, s, l, etc. So, now that we know all of this, when should we use a? Use a before a consonant sound, like a cat, a tree, a lamp, a road. This allows us to make an open sound, a, followed by a closed sound. I mentioned that we use a before a consonant sound. So you may see a word which starts with a vowel, but which actually begins with a consonant sound. I'll give you some examples. A university. This word starts with a vowel, U, but it starts with a consonant sound, Y. We say a university. A European. This word starts with a vowel, E. However, it begins with the sound Y, and we say a European. A once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Here, the word once begins with a vowel, O, but the sound W is a consonant. We say a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And if you're thinking that you will never be able to remember all of this, don't worry, I have put together a summary of this lesson plus a short quiz to test your understanding. You can download it from the description. Now that you know about a, when do we use an? You might have guessed, we use an before a vowel sound. For example, an idea, an area, an umbrella. And this is because it can actually be quite uncomfortable to make two open sounds in a row. So instead of saying a idea, we prefer to close the mouth in between and say an idea. It's the same reason why it feels strange to say un arbre in French. Again, there are some words which start with a consonant but which begin with a vowel sound. And these are mostly words which begin with a silent H. For example, an honor, an hour. Even though these words start with a consonant, an H, they start with an open vowel sound, ow. So we say an hour, an honor. In the end, usually the most comfortable article is the correct one. So if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, you're probably using the wrong article, right? It's much more difficult to say a idea than to say an idea. It's much more difficult to say an cat than to say a cat. So try to use your intuition a little bit. 2 things to watch out for. Firstly, remember that adding an adjective, which always goes before the noun in English, can modify the article. So, for example, while I would say a hat, I would need to say an old hat. Secondly, beware of acronyms. For example, we would say an NGO, an SUV, an LED. While the letters N, S, and L are consonants, they start with an open sound. N, L, S. And so we need to use the article N. Conversely, we would say a URL, a UFO, because even though the letter U is a vowel, it starts with a Y sound, which is a consonant. Let's do a quick exercise, and as always, write your answers in the comments. It was such an easy test that she finished it in under an hour. If you'd like to see a summary of this lesson and test yourself with a little quiz, you can download a summary and quiz in the description. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you again soon. Bye!